desperate family members have been calling the missing passengers' cell phones, and some report those cell phones have been ringing. Does that mean the plane landed somewhere safely, possibly? Experts say no way, but some relatives are clinging to hope tonight. Straight out to Philip Holloway. Thanks for joining us. You're a flight instructor. You're familiar with air traffic control. This is what nobody can understand. How can this plane stop sending tracking signals and proceed to turn around and go in the opposite direction hundreds of miles off course without somebody from air traffic control saying before it disappeared, hey, buddy, you're going in the wrong direction?
Well, right, this is the ultimate mystery wrapped inside an enigma, and quite frankly, we're relying upon the Malaysian Air Force and what they say happened. They say that they got this target of this aircraft changing course, but they don't have any other electronic communication coming from the aircraft. They don't have any other transponders. They don't have their ACARS signal coming from it. So I tend to believe that that information about the course reversal is questionable. I think we just have to see a little bit more hard proof that what they say they saw on the radar was actually this particular aircraft. I'm not convinced that it was. However, if it was, the only thing that makes sense, and this doesn't make entirely good sense to me, but what does make the closest sense is that there was some partial structural failure that could have led to a decompression of the aircraft. You know, there's a huge difference of pressure between the outside of the cabin and the inside of the cabin. And we look back to the Payne Stewart flight where his aircraft here in the United States lost its pressurization. And within a matter of seconds, people go ahead and they pass out.
Yeah, it's 60 degrees below zero in the air outside. But listen to this. This is what I thought was really bizarre. One of the possible reasons for the plane's disappearance, obviously, we've just been talking about, well, there's mechanical, there's terrorism, there's also pilot error. Now, get this. One young woman spoke to Australia's 9 News about the co-pilot in this case, his questionable past behavior. Listen to this.
We were standing in line at the boarding gate just with everybody else, and the pilot and co-pilot walked past us and came back and asked us if we would like to sit with them in the cockpit during the flight. So obviously we said yes. It didn't seem unusual to them. I think they might have before invited people into the cockpit with them. Possibly a little bit sleazy.
Possibly a little bit sleazy. Philip Holloway, you're a flight instructor. Does that raise alarm bells about possibly the pilot or the co-pilot having psychological issues?
Well, I think what it does is it raises a question about that pilot's error, maybe in judgment on that particular flight. I think that we have to know a lot more before we can directly relate that incident to this particular, what's going to turn out to be a tragic event. I'm just not quite ready to make the conclusion that because...
You know, honestly, I'm not asking for conclusions because I don't think you could offer, since Interpol and the CIA, nobody can come up with conclusions, but the possibilities. I mean, you've got terrorism hasn't been ruled out by the CIA, although they're saying it's unlikely. Then you talked about mechanical failure. And then there's this idea of maybe a non-terrorist type of event where somebody does something rash, like the pilots, there's possibly suicide, or maybe some kind of hijacking that's unrelated to terrorism.
Absolutely. It is not at all beyond the realm of possibility that one or both of these pilots had something to do with it. Because if anybody knew how to turn off both of the transponders, that's actually an easy thing to do, but they would have to have some advanced knowledge about how to turn off the ACARS system, which is an automated system that transmits flight data back to the airline. If they knew how to do that and they had some psychological problems, it's not beyond the realm of possibility.
Thank you, sir. And the mystery remains and is growing with every passing minute. Viral justice among